weekly block of Halloween horror over here at Blood and Black Run Podcast. All season long, September and October will be celebrating with quirky, funny horror parodies. Join us for your favorites, from satirical slashers to classic parodies and even some throwback spooks. I'm even told Abbott and Costello will be rising from the dead. Celebrate with us, Blood and Black Run Podcast, as we dive into HaHaHalloween. Hello, welcome back to the Blood and Black Run Podcast. I'm Ryan from ColdSploitation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
There are ghouls among us today. I'll say that.
Some will say maybe the dead don't die.
Well, there you go. The title has just been spoken.
Any more than you or I.
You know, Sturgill Simpson.
I know.
Sorry.
What about Travis Randall?
Don't quit your day job. You're more like Mr. Quinn.
I wish.
Yeah.
He's a better cook than me.
Yeah, right? No, we are talking today, so we're still knee-deep, neck-deep, whatever you want to call it, in our Halloween season. HaHaHalloween, yeah. And we want to do something different this time, right? Because the last two episodes we've done have kind of been takes on the slasher format, and there's a lot of horror parodies that have, delved into the slasher format because it is one of the more popular genres, especially for American audiences. Kind of easy to do. I guess another one that you would expect to be a pretty big deal would be paranormal type, parodies. But alas, I don't know. There's not too many. But anyway, we're going to do a different type of movie, and we're doing a zombie movie, a zombie parody today. There's a couple zombie parody movies out there. We've done probably the one that's the biggest one that you would think of, right? Shaun of the Dead. So that one was out.
I thought you were going to say Island of the Dead.
No, we haven't done that one. We haven't done Island of the Dead or Diary of the Dead or any of those. But
God, I honestly can't wait to do Diary one of these days. It's going to be, even though it's not even the worst one, it's just...
That is the one that I have not seen as well. I've never seen Diary. Never.
Yeah, but we saw Survival, though.
We did. Yes. Unfortunately. Yeah. But zombie movies, so I guess I will preface by saying that, to be quite honest with you, I'm sick to death of zombie movies.
How can you be?
How can I be?
Yes, because I think this would be a proper feeling, because I had the same feeling too. Like a decade ago when we've reached our zenith of like zombie culture. Mm-hmm. Because from the mid-2000s up to the mid-2010s, we were just inundated, absolutely inundated with zombie shit. From varying ranges of good to bad. You had Land of the Dead, great movie. You had the Dawn of the Dead remake. Well, listen to that review that we did a long time ago. The Left 4 Dead games, Dead Rising, Resident Evil, like it just like Island of what the hell was it? Dead Island.
Yep.
So like it's just, if this was like 2015, I would understand that sentiment. Oh, I forgot. Sorry. The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
The most mediocre the most mediocre television show. Well, I try to take that out of my memory, even though the original Telltale Walking Dead game, amazing still to this day. So.
Oh yeah, you've tried multiple times to break into The Walking Dead. You watched it occasionally, just like here and there, and I always ask you why. Why are you doing that to yourself?
Well, that was like 2 years ago when I sat down and tried rewatching season 1.
Yeah, you were kind of like,
And by the
it.
time I was done, I was like, "This is just."
And I mean, season
because
one
again, because
not
again,
bad version.
I don't know about that, but it's mainly because like with like stuff like that when it comes to zombie stuff, it really takes me out when like especially now when zombie culture's a thing. For people to be like, I can't do it. Oh, they're my brother. And it's like, do zombies not exist in this world? What do you mean? Like,
Right.
like, because that's literally half The Walking Dead is like, I gotta kill that person. Oh, he's my fourth cousin. What's Carol got to do today? Keep on going, like.
Well, so I would say, part of that fatigue for me is definitely The Walking Dead because I followed it throughout and in all of its spin-offs. But also, I guess I would to be more specific and not just naming, or I guess less specific, however you want to see it, not just naming zombies. I am kind of sick to death of the post-apocalyptic element within films. And that doesn't necessarily mean zombies. It can mean zombies. But it doesn't necessarily have to mean zombies. But because, I would say a good 40% of shows and movies that are coming out have some sort of post-apocalyptic element these days. Or even video games, too. Video games, another prime example, it is the post-apocalyptic element. And it gets, especially when they follow the same trajectory, the same path of, or the same themes, it's just like, how many more times do we need to beat this dead horse about the post-apocalypse and, the way that the philosophical viewpoints of how humanity will treat each other and things like that. I just, there's not much more left to say. So to be fair to zombies, it's not just zombies, it's post-apocalypse in general. But the film that we're talking about today, The Dead Don't Die, 2019, is not really a film that it doesn't necessarily fall into that element, because it's not really post-apocalyptic. It's in the scope of the apocalypse. It's happening, and so it's kind of the impetus of the apocalypse. So we're good on that part of it, and then the zombie part is, kind of the parody itself too, because it's kind of a movie that doesn't take itself necessarily very seriously. It's metacritical often, quite literally sometimes breaking the fourth wall. And so I think that, like, for me, going into this movie, I wasn't super excited because, again, I didn't see this movie back in 2019 when it released. I wasn't super excited about going into a zombie movie, but I came out of it feeling way better about a zombie movie. I don't know if that's the same for you, but for me, I was pleasantly surprised by this one. Go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, like, I don't, I don't have astigmatism right now to like zombie or post-apocalyptic stuff, because I think it's, again, things have shifted so much into, superheroes and comics that I think, it's still pretty fresh. And like I said, I feel like we're very far away enough from, like, every year there being 3 different, like, apocalyptic zombie or whatever film, like, cramming in, like, I'm being exaggerative here, but like cramming in the same year, like Daisy, I Am Legend, and like, 2012, whatever the hell. So I was interested in seeing. Plus, the main reason, and by the way, this wasn't even originally on the schedule. I had to talk Ryan into it. Main reason I wanted to see this movie is because, one, we're both Bill Murray stans here. We love us some good Bill Murray films. And 2, also love Adam Driver. How can you not love Adam Driver?
True.
I mean, granted, those Star Wars movies are awful.
I knew you were going to say that.
But Kylo Ren's great. Like, he's great, but, so it's just a cavalcade of, like, when you look at the people who are in this film, like, oh, man, like, there's a shit ton of people in here for the ensemble cast, so.
It's true. It's true.
And also, theme song sung by Sturgill Simpson, so,
Yes, and I will say that I there is a trend sometimes of Martin picking movies that I don't appreciate, where it forces me to listen to songs that he enjoys and likes, and they just happen to be in the movie as well. That happened with something like Easy Rider as well, where we did Easy Rider. I was forced into it to watch it, and I was forced into listening to that drivel. And
hold on. Did you listen to the soundtrack, or did you listen to the Birds album, Ballad of Easy Rider?
No, just the soundtrack.
Okay, because if you listen to the Birds album, it's the same thing too, though. I mean, like, I gotta listen to fucking Jerry Reed. Well, you know what? Everyone loves Smokey and the Bandit.
There you go.
What was that song? So, Are those the three? Are those like the three films? Like, what else have I suggested to you?
I think those are the three. Yeah, Smokey and the Bandit. Easy Rider, and now The Dead Don't Die, where I had to listen to a Sturgill Simpson song like 8 or 9 times in the movie.
Would you have preferred it if it was Selena Gomez?
Probably.
Jesus.
Probably. To be fair, probably. But anyway. So again, The Dead Don't Die. I was surprised, as I was talking to you about this earlier, I was surprised to see that it was released in 2019. It's like 6 years ago.
Feels like yesterday.
It does. It does feel like yesterday. I feel like, and again, I missed out on this movie. I remember it coming out very clearly. I remember people talking about it and saying, "Oh yeah, it's a new kind of zombie comedy from Jim Jarmusch and stars Bill Murray." I definitely remember that happening. And I feel like it was just the other day, but it was 6 years ago. But I definitely remember, the only thing I really knew about this movie besides those two things, even not so much the cast, because the cast, like you said, is very stacked. I didn't even really realize that. But I did hear a lot of people just saying that they did not enjoy The Dead Don't Die. It had some critical success, I believe. But for the most part, like viewer-based commentary, I heard people didn't like it. And that's kind of all I knew about this movie, besides, the main crux of it being a zombie film. And you've never seen it, right? You've heard about it.
No, I've heard about it, because it's been a constant fixture on Netflix since it came out, so.
And I guess the other thing we should point out, too, is that we don't have any experience with Jim Jarmusch either. Never seen a movie by him, even though he is fairly prolific. Just never had the pleasure of experiencing one of his movies. It's never gone out of my way. I think, as you said, he kind of reminds you of like a David Lynch character, right?
The way he looks like a smashing of David Lynch, Mark Mothersbaugh, and why am I drawing a blank on this goddamn Sam Lake?
Yeah, I can see all of those kind of smushed together for sure. All right. Anything else for the intro before we take a break here and talk about the stuff that we got on the show?
Yeah, Ryan finally, speaking of Sam Lake, finally beat Alan Wake too. So give him a round of applause for beating the greatest game of all time.
It took me a while, but I got there.
Yeah, you did.
And platinumed.
Well, that's the only way to go.
That's right. All right, so for beers on the show today, we have a special.
Not a beer.
Yeah, not a beer. Not a beer. But we do this from time to time, especially during the Halloween season.
We're in apple country.
That's right.
Bitches love nothing more than picking apples in the fall up in the upstate, Adirondack region.
That's right. And especially too, from the downstate region of New York City area, they also love coming on up here to upstate to pick those apples.
Did you ever see the SNL skit about
yes,
that?
I was thinking about that. That's when I was saying that, I was thinking about that.
That visually in your head, flannel, the big, like sombrero.
It is really funny too to think about because actually we were just at the apple orchard the other day, and we were there and there was people in their like long leggings and flannel and sweatshirts. And it's fucking 78 degrees there on a balmy September day because in upstate New York, people forget about this. In September, it's still fucking hot. It's still basically summer season. Or I mean, it is truly summer, literally summer, right?
Especially when there's global warming going on.
Absolutely.
Because I was saying, you're absolutely right. Like the only time it's been cold is at night when it's 50 degrees out. Our fucking noons have been 75 degrees, so...
You gotta love the commercials where you see people in, like, their heavy flannels and, downy sweaters and things like that. Going out on the apple orchard, you're gonna be dying, man. You're gonna be having heat stroke out there.
You don't have your heaviest Carhartt or LLB on? You're gonna freeze up there!
Absolutely. If you're in upstate New York and if you're dressing to go out for apple picking, dress for the warmth because...
Joggers.
Yeah, exactly. I was in shorts and t-shirts, still sweating. So, but anyway, I digress. So, but for the show today, I grabbed a hard cider because, again, we don't do ciders that often. I have a very limited window of time where I actually want to drink a hard cider. to be honest with you, because if it was like an option between a beer or a cider, I'm almost always taking the beer. Unless it was that weird green apple beer from Magic Hat that I had that one year. Then,
oh, God.
That was like my one and only drain pour.
That's not
apple.
Well, that's not true. The woodchuck pumpkin.
Yeah, but that's not technically a beer. It was a cider.
I know, but that's also a total drain pour.
That's true. It's a drain pour. But so I don't have very much time where I am a cider drinker. So the fall is it. That is the time frame to get it in. So I decided it was high time for us to have a cider on here because we've had a couple of Oktoberfest and stuff on here recently. So I was actually happy to be in Aldi and I saw, oh wow, Aldi has some hard ciders that they have available. And I've never had any of their hard ciders. And again, I think we've done one other Aldi beer or maybe two. Can't remember. I think one. It was the lime cerveza that we had on here before that Aldi makes. And we actually quite enjoyed it. And I've had a couple other Aldi beers, and I think they do a pretty good job. So I decided that I was going to go with Wicked Grove, which is Aldi's cider brand. It's kind of like an Angry Orchard style knockoff with a cheeky looking apple on it. And it's their Imperial Black Cherry Hard Cider, which clocks in at 8%. Again, I've never had any of the Wicked Grove line. I think they have just a really standard hard cider as well that they market. I haven't had it, but I decided, let's go with the Imperial. Let's really kick things up a notch and see how it goes, So we got the Black Cherry. I'll let you go first. What do you think about the Black Cherry hard cider?
First off, I don't think this is hard cider. Now that I'm looking at the can, you'll have to look at the package and affirm for me. There's no calorie count or anything on here, which is, for hard cider, due to its classification, has to have compared to beer, because there's differences. So this kind of makes me think that maybe this is a malt beverage, technically.
I don't know, pretty distinctly says hard cider on it.
I understand that, but at 8%... Well,
it's naturally gluten-free as well, so there's no way it has malt in it. No way.
You'll have to check the six-pack, because if there's no calorie, there has to be a nutrition fact on it.
You have the box, actually.
Oh, wait, I do?
Yeah, you have the box. I left it at your house.
Are you sure?
Yep.
I don't think so. But anyway, it doesn't. But it's besides the point. Like you, though, I do agree, and we talked about it because we do at least one cider during the Halloween season, because one, we have a abundance of darn good hard cider producers up here in upstate, like 1911, and so on and so forth. So, and like you two, I also only really want one during like the heart of October. So for hard cider, black cherry, it's not bad at all. You definitely get the imperial taste because it's definitely got more of a high octane, heat to it.
Mm-hmm.
The black cherry, I would say, is very mild. Doesn't like really stick out that much at all, or give a overly medicinal taste. If you're one that especially when it comes to like artificial black cherry, get that Robitussin, medicinal cough syrup taste. Not really there. In fact, I would say the black cherry is incredibly muted to the point where it just tastes like a 8% hard cider. But as a hard cider, it's not bad at all. It's crisp, got a nice easy mouthfeel, goes down smooth. Tastes, kind of got a little hint of like champagne-iness to it. Not much, but it's definitely not bad at all. And for what you get at Aldi for the price, it's hell. If you like that kind of, you want your hard cider to have a little bit more kick, like Red's Wicked Apple, give it a go at your local Aldi if you have one.
That is true too, right? That's a thing too. Red's Wicked Apple or whatever. Red's Wicked.
I would say it still exists, but God, I haven't seen one in like 15 years.
Yeah, I mean again, that's kind of like what they're going for. This is like this knockoff is like a combination of all those things put together, I think. I just like the cheeky apple on it. That's like a, again, like a knockoff of the Angry Orchard, like Mad Tree that they've got on there. I just think it's funny. But anyways, yes, I think this Wicked Grove is actually pretty good. Like you said, I don't get a huge amount of black cherry. I think that's kind of true of a lot of I think I've had a couple other black cherry style ciders as well. And I feel like the black cherry just adds maybe like a bit more tartness to the overall flavor of the cider. It doesn't necessarily give like a very distinctive black cherry flavor, which again is kind of a good thing too, because you don't want the black cherry to be overpowering. You don't want it to taste like a black cherry malt beverage or something instead of a cider. So you do still want the taste of apple there. And I think it's a good thing that it doesn't have that medicinal taste of a black cherry, because that can go very wrong. Black cherry can really be concerning if it has too much of that medicinal flavor to it. This does not have that, but it's not a huge black cherry kick to it. The 8% is not bad. It's not, I don't think it's like overpowering. It doesn't taste extremely alcohol-y. I think it's going down rather smoothly. And again, I think that this has a nice balance between like kind of the sweetness and dryness of an apple cider. It's not too sweet, but it is on the sweeter side. It does, I think I agree with Martin's assessment that it has like a somewhat champagne-y flavor to it, but not necessarily a full champagne flavor. So all of that said, I think this is really good for the price point. You would do worse than picking up an Aldi Wicked Grove Imperial Black Cherry Cider. So check it out if you have an Aldi near you.
Check it out, Steve.
All right, so let's get into The Dead Don't Die, which is repeated to us, basically ad infinitum in this film. They don't die. But again, one of the things about this movie that I think, we'll talk about right off the bat is the fact that as a parody film kind of, for the most part, if you were just watching it, not really recognizing some of the things, kind of takes itself seriously. But it has a very wry, sardonic humor to it that is emphasized by, for one, Bill Murray being there as sort of like the straight-laced guy. And then two, Adam Driver kind of being Adam Driver in a sort of Noah Baumbach movie, right? Like, because that's kind of what The Dead Don't Die boils down to. It's, for me, at least, it is a sort of Noah Baumbachian, Wes Anderson-esque horror film without the symmetry. That's that's, when I was watching this film for the first time and kind of, 45 minutes in or so, I was like, it's kind of what this reminds me of. I don't know if you got the same thing, but the way that the humor is written, which is very sort of understated and kind of focused on dialogue specifically, I feel like it kind of hits those notes. And that's kind of what made me really enjoy the film, especially, watching it from the beginning. Because again, this movie, I timed it. It takes like 30 minutes to actually get a zombie in the shot.
I see. I did the same thing too. Yep, it's just under 30 minutes.
Yep, it was like 29 minutes where the first time you actually even see. And I think even then, it's just like a puff of a sheet, right? Like it's just like breath in a sheet. Under a sheet is like the zombie part. It takes a while to get to the zombies. And so for the longest time, you're kind of just there along on the ride with Adam Driver and Bill Murray as investigating certain things that are going on in the world. And one of those things happens to just be like Tom Waits, who's just traipsing around in the woods like Bigfoot. Just, shooting off guns, like, fuck you, in the woods. And so I think like, again, it's kind of understandable that certain people would come into The Dead Don't Die and not really dig this movie that much. Because if they're looking for something like Shaun of the Dead or like Zombieland, something that is very much more focused on the zombies and the aspect of zombie apocalypse, they might find this a little bit lacking. But for people who are really enjoy the more sardonic, meta-critical humor, I think that this is a film for them, especially considering that it does have like a nice, zombie bent to it along with the comedy. Do you agree with that? Do you find the same thing I do?
No, I definitely think it's hilarious. I do think the film's hilarious. I do think it's got really smart, dry humor about it. And again, your mileage is totally going to vary if you like that Wes Anderson dry, observing style of humor. And like the role that I would compare this most to Bill, and I've seen a billion Bill Murray films. The role I would compare this most to is like him in Steve Zissou, as Steve Zissou. Very played, very, downstated, just calm, cool, very like, oh yeah, there's same thing with Adam Driver too, like, yeah, there's stuff going on there. Yeah, what's going on there? Yeah, there's stuff. It's really, if you're not into that kind of like humor, you're not gonna find it funny. But I do think it works really well, and I think Bill Murray and Adam Driver play great. I mean, Jesus, yeah, no, I said that.
They play off each other.
They play off each other really, yeah. They play off each other really well, and like just give especially because they do break the fourth wall and make it seem like they know, that they know that it's like a film going on, a story. It makes it feel like is this line improvised? I don't know.
Yeah, and I think what you said too about them playing off of each other is really important because again, like you said, both of them are kind of playing the understated character. There's not like an over-the-top person, and then Bill Murray as the understated. Adam Driver is, I think, playing a really great kind of actually like typecast now role for him, especially after his work in like Star Wars. Because again, I mentioned Noah Baumbach, but we've covered Adam Driver in Marriage Story, for one thing.
Also from 2019.
Oh, is it? I didn't even realize that. Wow,
yeah.
It's been that old.
Again, I know.
Jesus Christ.
I know. Like I said, well,
yeah. Well, so again, I guess even more apropos is the fact that it was at the same time. He's kind of straight off of both in the same year, very very similar aesthetics, I think. And then not only that, but also White Noise. which is another Noah Baumbach film that Adam Driver was in, playing a very similarly understated character as well. I think he does a really good job with those types of roles. And here, I think there's like this nice camaraderie that happens within the first 15 minutes of this ride along that you get in The Dead Don't Die, where you're kind of just along for the ride with Bill Murray and Adam Driver, and they're kind of just, again, it almost seems like inane dialogue, really not doing that much, but at the same time, it's all very funny, like wryly funny. They keep commenting on the fact that like it's not getting dark, and they're like, that's weird. And then, they're just kind of back and forth between them that has like this really nice camaraderie that sucks you in. And I was like into it from the first 10, 15 minutes or so. And I think if you are not, I don't think it gets better for you, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense to you as well.
No, it does. It does. It's you're either gonna love. It's like I can totally see, to use the Noah Baumbach reference, if you like, and obviously you would know this too. To watch the Squid and the Whale.
Yep.
You're either gonna think it's hilarious in this really well-written, well-performed film with very dry, jabby, witty little lines and remarks. Something like the Royal Tenenbaums, where Dudley, like when Bill Murray's talking to Gwyneth Paltrow about, like, you're leaving me? And Dudley's going to the cab, like, there's a dent in that cab. And then, like, the serious conversations going on. If you don't find that funny, that kind of stuff funny, you're not going to find The Dead Don't Die to be funny. Right. Because it's that same style, as you said. Sardonic's like the perfect word for it. It's very, poisonous, like, in how it is.
Yeah.
So if, like, you're not into that level of dry champagne humor, you're not gonna, the film won't be for you.
Yeah. Because again, I think like we talked about the first 30 minutes are kind of all set up. You're kind of meeting the characters in The Dead Don't Die because though Bill Murray and Adam Driver are the main characters, the ones that the film keeps coming back to, overall they're not the focus. The focus kind of wavers now and then between various different people within the setting, and like the whole idea is that it's set in a town called Centerville, which is hilarious. Culmination basically of every type of person. And I think, like, again, there's part of The Dead Don't Die in what Jim Jarmusch is it's trying to indicate here is that Centerville is kind of like this area that you can imagine is sort of like the everyman area. And I think he's trying to put in some characters here that you can see as sort of an everyman character. And like you could see Bill Murray as like the aged person that could be your everyman, or Adam Driver as the person that stands in for a younger person that you might see yourself in. We also get, like Steve Buscemi here as sort of the racist dude who still has a daily conversation with a black guy, Danny Glover.
What a terrific redneck Buscemi makes.
Right.
Like, God bless him. And it's funny.
Fucking cows.
And it's funny. And it's hilarious too, because he's wearing a MAGA hat.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Keep America white again.
It's just like, like so on the nose, so there, and like, just.
Yeah.
Really, funny, and like the whole, like, when he's at the diner and he's drinking his coffee and he's checking out, like, what diner do you go to? Which everyone loves diners. Like, what diner do you go to? And they're like, oh, you want the coffee to go? And no one's getting your coffee pack to go. But he's like, nah, it's too black. And then Danny Glover shoots him a look, and he's like, I mean, strong. It's just too strong. Which is funny, too, because at the same time, like, Danny Glover must know who he is and stuff, because, again, he's, like, and talk to him, like, constantly, because they're always at the diner. It's like Alan Wake. It's the one place you gotta be at. And, he's still coming in wearing a Make America White Again hat, and Danny Glover is just kind of like, oh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it kind of just, again, it's like the stand-in for any small town or any area, really. And I think that's kind of the goal of this movie. It sets up a sporadic different people. You've got Selena Gomez in here playing just, like hipster woman traveling with her friends.
Some would call her Jezebel.
Staying with two men in a hotel room.
What a Jezebel.
Wow. You got Tilda Swinton here, who's playing like the weird Scottish funeral parlor owner. Somebody different. Tom Waits is here playing a hermit, and that's kind of the guy who is the roundabout hero of the whole film, as he, we routinely check in with him as the world is going to shit with all the zombies, and he's just fine. He's out in the wilderness like, ooh. No,
he's part of the problem. He doesn't do anything. He has a loaded rifle and everything, and he's just like,
nice tasty porcinis. I love that. Just fucking random mushroom foraging. But
not only that though, too, the fact that it's Tom fucking Waits, it's like,
and not only, and he also gets, again, Tom Waits got a great speaking voice and singing voice as well. Doesn't sing in this one because this is solely probably contractually obligated Sturgill Simpson town. There's Tom Waits cannot have a song on this film. Sturgill Simpson only. But I like the fact that he does give those voiceovers every now and then, like these people, mortals.
Like it's a noir film.
Yeah,
like,
kind of at the end of the film, and again, as we'll talk about the theme itself, he kind of delivers the theme explicitly, but I do like the fact that we have Tom Waits just kind of in the background, just traipsing around every now and then. But what do you think about the whole setup of the zombie thing? Because eventually it's like we said, it takes about 29 minutes to really get zombies, but the whole atmosphere of it's kind of coming together. It kind of has a Night of the Living Dead style atmosphere throughout, as it kind of sets in motion this idea that things are happening, and we do get the news broadcast there pretty explicitly talking about we've been doing some polar fracking and now the Earth is on the wrong axis. What do you think about the setup for the zombies?
It's a nice little political commentary about fracking and global warming, climate change. Because again, this is something that's been around for 45 years now, and people still don't think it's happening. A lot of people. It's sad. So that's a nice little to it all. But the whole idea of so the axis got tipped, which is true. That's one of the first things that you learn when you're in school and they're talking about the Earth's axis. It's at this precise axis, and if it was ever to move just a little bit, everything would change. I think that's a fine it's a fine dandy enough idea for zombies to come, because again, usually in these films, especially in the world of Romero, it's when hell runs out of room.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. How do you because it seems almost like a direct statement to the zombie film that almost intentionally refrains from giving a specific diagnosis of what happened, right?
Yeah. Which is the first Night of the Living Dead,
Yeah.
Because with Return, and this film does have a lot of Return homages. With Return, it's the gas or whatever the hell that turns them into zombies and stuff. I'm fine because they're giving an explanation at least, to explain why everything's getting batshit loopy and crazy. But at the same time, though, because they're doing both things with breaking the fourth wall and making it intentional that this is a movie. Would it really matter at the end of the day? No, it's just kind of a MacGuffin to get things moving forward. So, because again, we do have quite a few of fourth wall breaking scenes and stuff. So, Yeah, I think it's fine enough. Like, I don't have any complaints or anything.
And I mean, I think it obviously sets in motion this whole idea of environmentalism that runs throughout The Dead Don't Die. I mean, it's kind of hard to see the film in anything but an environmental allegory about, and I think, I don't really think that Jim Jarmusch is trying to hide that fact. I mean, it's pretty explicit throughout. It's literally sometimes voiced multiple times of like, on the TV shows, and you can hear people in the background talking about the polar fracking. Like, the polar fracking definitely did not throw the Earth off its axis, okay? That is not happening right now. And so the idea that I think is even more relevant today is the fact that it comes down to people are telling you not to believe what you are literally seeing, right? And I think that that's kind of the idea behind The Dead Don't Die, is that, like, you can believe whatever you want to believe about if it's truly happening, but just look around and you can see that it is. And I think, like, the nice thing that keeps coming up again and again in the film is the return to Adam Driver basically always saying, wow, this is not going to end well. And it's kind of pisses Bill Murray off again and again throughout the film, is him just literally saying that every time. He's like, what? Why do you say that?
Yeah, why do you keep saying?
And I think, again, that it kind of comes back to this whole idea of, like, people don't like to hear that. People don't like to hear, like, yeah, we've known about this for years and years, and we just keep saying, yeah, it's not going to be good.
Well, I mean, you can apply that to a lot of things. Again, like with like COVID and vaccines and stuff. Now people are so skeptical and idiotic about these things. They're like, well, I'd rather take my chances. I've done studying online, and it's like, motherfucker, please. Like, most of you couldn't pass a goddamn library skills class for like the 7th grade, and you think you going on the internet and you read one fucking, like, Babylon Bee article, and all of a sudden you know what the fuck's going on. Like, compared to the people, like, we have a friend, that's a doctor, right? If I was that doctor, I would feel pretty insulted if I spent my entire life studying something to, like, the nth degree and writing papers and all that, to have someone be like, yeah, well, you say that rock comes from here? Yeah, well, the internet, Reddit says it comes from there. Like that would end just like, I don't know if, for you as somebody who's more, literary based and stuff, so I don't know how often you hear people bandying about, like, random literacy and book type things where you would get offended like that. But for me, like, somebody who's, like, spent a lot of time, and, like, my degree and stuff was, like, based on, like, education and history and stuff. When I hear some of the stupid and childish things that people say, it's like, I, like, just, like, want to, strangle somebody, because it's like, you have no understanding what the hell's going on. Like,
I think one of the interesting things about The Dead Don't Die, though, and the way that it's presented in the zombie parody, is the fact that it doesn't really find fault in those people who reject the reality, right? It's basically saying, whether you see it or not, you're all in it. You're all affected by it. Whether you actually want to believe or not, whether we have our differences of opinion, like an opinion in quotation marks of what's going on, and whether whatever somebody is telling you is the truth, you just look around and you can see that it's occurring. And I think that's, again, a thing that The Dead Don't Die comes back to again and again, is the being able to look around and see that, like, no, it's happening, whether you want to or even, want to acknowledge it or not. It's happening. Now, the one thing I wanted to ask you is The Dead Don't Die too on the nose about its discussion about, like, this environmental approach or how it deals with the allegory? What do you think?
So it's a mixed bag. With the environmental stuff, I would say no. I think it's nuanced enough to have its own breadth, and live as it is. The very end, I don't know if it's intentional, if it's supposed to be a rib play or what, but the whole, like, zombies, they're just people trying to consume endlessly. Capitalism. It's like, is this supposed to be like, a statement, or is it supposed to be taking the piss out of like Dawn of the Dead? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because again, at least with the environmental stuff, you can track it from beginning to end. That part at the end when Tom Waits is going on like a fucking epilogue tangent is like, are you doing that for the parody's sake of like, that's right, balls, Orange Julius ruined everything, goddammit, or is it like meaningful? Like, are you trying to say something? Because if you're trying to say something, I got bad news for you. You're too late, and nothing throughout the rest of the film really even come close to hinting at that.
And that's the thing that I was getting at too is, I'm not saying that I did not enjoy The Dead Don't Die. I think it's a really, despite the fact that like how I might feel about the overall theme and whether it's too on the nose or if it's, trying to force its views onto somebody, I think that The Dead Don't Die is a very entertaining film regardless. But how do you feel about the fact that, like, do you think it's doing enough to differentiate it from, like what you said, like a Romero Dawn of the Dead element where, again, in Dawn of the Dead, and we've discussed this probably on and off the podcast about Romero's overall intentions and whether the actual commentary about, people returning to their capitalistic roots in Dawn of the Dead is intentional or not. But do you think that The Dead Don't Die does enough to kind of put itself out there, because it's kind of making the same statement, basically, whether, it's changing up some of those ideas. It's saying like, oh, instead of returning to the shops and stuff, they're returning to like things they loved, like Mountain Dew and coffee and,
Snickers
fashion and Snickers. Yeah. But like, is that really saying anything different than what we've gotten from zombie movies from time immemorial?
No, I don't think so. It's just like a pure and very simple like vanity allegory. But I don't think as a overarching theme. This is one of the problems. If like with this film, if you're trying to like get like a billion different themes and ideas out of it, don't, because they're muddled and they don't. It's not cohesive, and I wouldn't be like running to this film for that kind of sentiment. What makes the film enjoyable, like again, is because Bill Murray is fucking hilarious. Adam Driver is fucking hilarious. Tilda Swinton, God bless that poor woman's soul, is like a workhorse of an actress. And it's all like there's a lot of different ideas here, a lot of different spoofs and stuff. But again, for me, the main enjoyment comes from its very wry, sardonic, brutal style of humor and storytelling. So
yeah, and I mean, I think like, again, that's where the film really shines, because it's not the gore, and as we talked about earlier, this film makes a intentional decision to kind of alleviate on some of the gore, and instead it kind of goes a different route with like a sort of like ashy smoke that pops out of most of the cadavers,
which is, I think, a horrendous mistake.
You think it's a mistake? I think it's kind of nice to differentiate itself from different zombie films, but
I think if they leaned further into it, make it like Afro Samurai, head gets lopped off, fucking blood just
fountain,
a fountain, like make it ridiculous, make it over the top. With, I think, that whole aspect of the film in like the overall theme is kind of bastardized in the sense like, well, it's just like ash, it's like dust in the wind, like, which when we get, I can't remember who it was saying like ash to ash, dust to dust. Sure. Okay, fine. Kind of adds to it, but it comes off as it seems like we were just going for the quick, cheap CGI route.
Yeah, that's true. It does,
because like you don't have to have perfect, practical effects in a film like this, because you can tell it's made with love, but it ain't made on a budget.
Sure.
but you can just fucking do it. Like, it's not that hard to have squibs and shit, to have, like, you know, that kind of stuff happening. So,
yeah, I was okay with it, but I can see both ways. But I think that, that's the comedy is really where it shines. But I can see also why a lot of people might not like this movie. For one thing, again, we talked about the zombie element is kind of sporadic. It's not, throughout the film, there's not a whole lot of zombie action. Also, again, the comedy can be hit or miss for some people. But I think that the other portion of the film that people might not like is the fact that it does kind of sometimes come off as sort of preachy. In the same way that something like the movie like Don't Look Up kind of came off in that same regard, and some people really dislike that movie. I can see a lot of people not liking The Dead Don't Die specifically because they would say like it's, quote, too political. It's too political for me. I wish that it didn't bring any politics into it. But with that said, what do you think about like the Romero homages in here? Like the car, the naked zombie showing up,
being in Philadelphia. I mean, not Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania. And no, it's great. It's
there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of like great, it's a lot of great honoring of Night of the Living Dead and Return of the Living Dead. Those are like the two big ones that stick out. So I mean, like,
and you do get that like Day of the Dead style zombie hands coming through the window too,
and the talking and the synth. God, you know what? The synth that's laid throughout this film for ambiance, terrific. It's just missing some like Caribbean like kettle drums, like Day of the Dead. Like,
yeah. If you're not getting Sturgill Simpson, you're getting that synth.
Yeah, but it's great.
What are your favorite like comedic parts of the movie?
So when the poor ladies at the diner get eaten and Bill Murray and Adam Driver show up, fucking great. Bill Murray goes in there and he's like, "Oh my god, it's like a wild animal attack." Wild animals. And then when fucking Adam Driver comes flying up in his little smart car and they're like, "You don't want to go in. You don't want to go in there." Goes in there, comes out. "Oh my god, it's like a wild animal or wild animals attacked them." And Bill Murray and Danny Glover and nodding like, "Mm-hmm." Which is funny too about that whole thing too, because when they go in there, it's just literally the same part of the Dead Don't Die playing. When they go in there, because you hear that little mandolin riff. And then when Minerva shows up, she's like, what can't be that bad? And she goes in there, she's like, "Oh my god, looks like a wild animal or wild animals attack." And they're just sitting there nodding. They're fucking lost my shit. Like, it's like so, like, again, like, if you don't find that kind of stuff funny, you're not gonna find it funny. Because it's like, again, that whole bit reminds me of, and I'm sure it definitely reminds you of too, because it's like one of our favorite scenes that we talk about, is in the Royal Tenenbaums. But like, again, Dudley's like, "There's a dent in that cab." Like, so, like, that's terrific. That's like, just chef kiss great. And like, fucking the fact that Adam Driver, this like 6 foot, 7 foot tall behemoth of a man, is driving around, Centerville in a fucking smart car. Amazing.
Dude, that was probably one of my favorite parts of him, just like driving in there nonchalantly, pulling into the parking lot, and the camera's just kind of like panning around as he drives in the parking lot in that car. That's a really, really great moment. And then not only that, but I also like how he always responds to certain situations like, "Oh, yuck." It's just like the very, again, a nonchalant, description of events that are occurring that are very, like, gruesome, and he just says yuck to it. It's just,
I can't believe you decapitated them. They're not just real people. They're reanimated ghouls like that. Like, keeps referring to them as ghouls. He's like, "They're ghouls."
Everybody, they keep saying. And Adam Driver has that very particular way of saying it too. Ghouls. They're ghouls.
Like he's Vincent Price, like
yeah. And then not only that, like, and again too, this is kind of this shows how kind of low budget this film is too, because it does often feel like Adam Driver and Bill Murray were on set for maybe like a few days, like during the whole production, and then like the rest of it was shot off. Because the best parts of the movie, arguably for me, are when they're just in the cop car and they're just conversing, back and forth. I think that works out really well. Probably the end of the film is really great, in terms of them, basically coming to the conclusion that, like, you know what, it's going to be what it's going to be, and, let's just get it over with. I think that's, those are the best scenes for definitely, and again, this is a role that Bill Murray was like destined to play. It's almost like Jim Jarmusch was just basically like, if Bill Murray can't be in this movie, we just won't make it.
Just beat Bill Murray.
Yeah, exactly.
Which the older Bill Murray gets, the better and better he gets. Like,
sure.
So like the whole, like, when they're talking in the police car and they're like, he's like, how the hell do you know it's not going to end? This isn't going to end good because you've been saying that since the beginning. And he's like, well, I read the script, and he's like, what? That wasn't in my script. And he's like,
you only get scenes. Yeah.
And it's like, that totally sounds like a Bill Murray thing. Like, to be like, I don't fucking read the script. I'll come up with my own ideas. Like, I
like that.
Nice.
I like them breaking the fourth wall every now and then. I think that's like a nice sort of allusion to, that it's a film, and again too, this film is one of the very minimal zombie films where the characters recognize that they have zombies. Yeah, because most zombie films love to have their characters be like, I've never heard of a zombie in my life. What is that? We don't have any zombie literature in this world. Carl, we've never thought about the dead coming back to life. And so I like, it's refreshing in this film to hear them, basically the first thing out of Adam Driver's mouth after he sees them is like, so what are you thinking? He's like, you really want the truth? I think it's zombies. And Bill Murray's like, you think it's zombies? What? It's refreshing to hear them just kind of...
Which is true, because it's true, because when you look at the people who've been attacked and killed, it's like, well, who would do that? It's like, those look like zombie bites.
Zombies would do that, yeah. I mean, it's great. I think it works really well.
Which is great, too. Fucking Bill Murray, and he's like, you think it's zombies? And then wandering around the cemetery, he trips into the hole. He's like,
he's like, well,
what's good?
There you go.
Who the hell put that hole there?
All right, so what else did we talk about? What you wanted to discuss?
So you were really offended by the 8 different times that The Dead Don't Die was playing?
I definitely would see myself as Bill Murray in that situation, where after I've heard it enough times, I'd be like, all right, we're getting rid of this disc. We're chucking it out the window. I mean, I don't like.
It's literally
fair, to be honest. It's a song that I think is, to the film's credit, just very listenable. It's not going to offend anybody. It's fine. It's okay. It's simple.
It's one of the best running jokes in the film. It's like, because every time they mention it, like, oh, like in the opening, what's this song? When we put it on civilian radio, oh, that's Sturgill Simpson's The Dead Don't Die. How do you know this song? Well, it's the theme song.
Yeah.
And then oh, look at the CD. Oh, it's Sturgill Simpson's Dead Don't Die. I love that song. Like, it's fucking hilarious. And, like, that joke just runs constantly throughout the film. Like, oh, yeah, It kind of reminds me of, like, New Year's Evil of, like, the band that's, like, popular and famous and nobody gives a shit about, really, And
I think, too, it's, like, that whole idea, too, that, like, hey, the soundtrack has been all around you, and you've been listening to it, and you still haven't figured it out yet, right? Like, you haven't figured out that the bad things are coming. This isn't going to end well. I think I like the idea of it. I'm not a fan of the type of music, but of course, I'm fine with it in the film. I think it works for the joke, the running joke that it has.
So what are the best jokes?
Yeah.
Because at the end, when Bill Murray's like, "Oh, the hell with this," and he takes the CD and throws it out of the car, and Adam Driver's like, "You're being really irrational right now." It's great.
Yeah, and again too, like this is a great point of another scenario was in this movie. It's the understatedness of it that's really funny, where they just say you're being irrational right now. Like I don't understand. Why are you acting like that? It's a zombie apocalypse. Why are you acting like you're being so irrational right now? It's great. It's amazing.
Speaking of, when Minerva, when she's like, "It's Grandma," and she fucking goes and she's like, "I've had enough." Like that is hilarious because that's how a lot of zombie films.
Right.
You think of Night of the Living Dead with Barbara. It's you dumb bitch.
That's kind of the joke of Night of the Living Dead now is that Barbara is so
stupid and useless.
She's so fearful. She literally cannot move, and it's just absolutely. When you watch it now, it's ridiculous when you think about how weak Romero made Barbara in that movie of I'm just so scared. I can't do anything. I'm so helpless.
Well, she was next to a black man the entire time. True. That's why.
So it's very imposing black man.
Who's more idiotically fearful? Barbara in Night of the Living Dead, Justin Long in Jeepers Creepers going.
Yeah, at least he's able to do something in that movie. Barbara was just basically a cutout.
Did he? I think it was his sister the entire time because he was too busy playing with her panties the entire time.
Go listen to our episode on Jeepers Creepers as well. We did do an episode on that. All right. So with The Dead Don't Die, how do you think about it for a Halloween film? Is it a good Halloween movie? Would you recommend it?
I mean, if you're doing a zombie party, yeah, why not? Yeah. I think it's a damn good, funny, parody. Absurd. Well, parody, I guess, wouldn't be the right word. It's just an absurdist comedy, and we're not just doing parodies here. It's HaHaHalloween. It's all things funny for Halloween. So yeah, I think if it's in the right niche, fine. So I would agree. I mean, not everybody associates, zombie films with Halloween. So, but if you are, I think it fits the niche.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I mean, I think a lot of people tend to watch something like Night of the Living Dead for Halloween. It's got sort of a particular atmosphere. And I think The Dead Don't Die tries to mimic that atmosphere quite a bit. From the cemetery scenes that it has to the obvious odes to the Night of the Living Dead scenes that it portrays. I think it does a pretty good job. And while I don't think it has a particular Halloween feel to it, I think it does a good enough job of creating an atmosphere to it, despite the fact that it's a comedy. So I would recommend it for sure for Halloween. I think it's a fun little watch for Halloween, to be honest with you. All right, so we have to rate the film. So on a scale of 0 to 10 good and plenties, the obvious poor choice of a candy.
Selena Gomez. Oh, that's the thing that we forgot to mention.
Gas station.
Not only that, she chooses a fucking brisk.
Sure.
Who is drinking brisk in 2019? Let alone today.
Hasn't aged well.
You know who hasn't? Selena Gomez. Because she knows that's fucking garbage.
Yeah.
Her friend gets her friend. No, who is? Who's eating?
I mean, they're okay.
I rather
Mike and Ike's good and plenties. Which one?
Mike and Ike's. They actually have flavors. Nobody likes. Listen, licorice.
It's like choosing Necco wafers.
Listen, licorice is for people who thought, again, if you gave somebody a pear back in 1423, what a sweet, delicious treat this is. Everyone's taste buds have been nuked into the ground due to, high fructose corn syrup. If licorice does something for you, you belong during the bubonic plague. So, if you're eating good and plenties, bye. You're drinking brisk, bye. Your friend got a nice Snapple peach, and you're like, oh. But she does say, oh, Sturgill Simpson, The Dead Don't Die. I'll buy that, too.
It's true.
But Yeah, out of 10 good and plenty boxes, I'll give it a 7. I like it. I think the film's damn funny. It's really just got great dry humor about it that fits my style of humor to a T. I think, Bill Murray's fucking hilarious. I think Adam Driver's hilarious. Tilda Swinton is also underratedly hilarious. It's a good little absurdist comedy about zombie films. It's, it's definitely going to be a film that I think, it's either going to be something that you like a lot or you're going to be totally turned off by. It's very niche in its style of humor. The overall, messages, I think, are kind of flippy-floppy, unimportant. The gore is something that I did find to be very lacking. The kills, too. Definitely think it would have been better if they went more practical. But I do think it's fun enough. I think it's a fun film. And if you like dry humor, I would say give it a goddamn go. And if you like Bill Murray,
doubly so, right?
It's doubly so. It's just all things you could want.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's pretty funny. I think I liked it quite a bit. I think that, again, this is a zombie movie that knows what it's doing. It's not particularly original in the way that it presents ideas. I don't think that the theme is that surprising or different from any other zombie film, because, again, stemming back from even stuff from Return of the Living Dead on, most zombie apocalypse causes are some sort of environmentalism. So I don't think that the theme itself is really all that, compelling. But at the same time, I think that what it amounts to is well worth just the, not being surprised at the end of the film. It may not have a whole lot to offer in terms of what you haven't seen before for zombie movies, but I think the overall idea, the wry humor, the combination of a zombie film paired with a Wes Anderson style approach to humor is actually something that I would like to see more of. I really enjoyed that element to it, and I think having Bill Murray and Adam Driver in the key roles was a masterful idea. I think they do a great job, play off of each other very well. We need to see more Adam Driver and Bill Murray together. We haven't seen it enough. We need more of it. Get these guys together before Bill Murray unfortunately passes on. We can't just have him attending UConn games, okay? This man needs work. So get him back to work. But for real, I think that this film is actually quite good. I enjoyed it quite a bit, but I can see why some people might not enjoy this. If you don't like the humor, you just really are not going to get anything from it. So give it the first 10 minutes. If the first 10 minutes are not resonating, then you could probably just turn it off, because I don't think you're just not going to enjoy it the rest of the way. It's not going to get any better for you as it goes on. So, but for me, worked really well. Right in my wheelhouse for types of films that I enjoy. 7.5 out of 10. Nice pick. Good pick. I'm glad we got this one in, because I may have missed out on it for another 10 years. Who knows?
You're welcome.
So, all right. So that's it for The Dead Don't Die. But we've got a lot more HaHaHalloween on the way. We've got 6 more weeks to fill. So
yeah.
So we've got stuff on the way. We definitely have some things cemented that we definitely want to do. And then there's other things that are kind of like trade outs, like The Dead Don't Die, where, hey, we may decide we're gonna skip that one and we're gonna do something else. Who knows? So obviously, if you have any suggestions, write them in. Send us an email. We might be open to doing them. All right. Well, with that said, thanks for listening. You can find us on pretty much any podcast app that you can think of. We're on Apple Podcasts or home based at Spotify. Whatever you listen to, we're on it. So subscribe, leave us a nice review. We're on Facebook and Blue Sky. Just search for us on there. A lot of Micron podcasts. We have an email address at bloodandblackpodcast@gmail.com where you can write to us. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what movies you want us to cover. We'll take that in consideration. And we have a Patreon page or Spotify page where you can donate to us and put that back towards beer. So we appreciate that in advance. Thanks for listening to our episodes for HaHaHalloween. It's going to continue all Halloween season, which is September and October, weekly. So you'll definitely want to tune in and subscribe. And until next time.
Take care.